Spirit of Life is proudly sponsored by Mattress Oz, mattressesareus.com.au.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Michael Oxford. He will share his faith story. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Geraldine. Very glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great I hear that you have a story about how you converted. Could you tell me a little bit about what you were like before your conversion?
I sure can. So, my name is Michael Oxford, as you already said. I've come from a very large family. I'm the eldest of 7 kids in New South Wales, in a place called Castle Hill. My dad, as it is, likes to say that he's from the Church of England, just to mention how long it's been since he last was at Mass. And my mum was raised Catholic in a big family as well, as the eldest, not the eldest, about the 3rd eldest in a family of 5. So we got all brought up, and I was, I guess, the guinea pig child because I'm the eldest, so you're kind of guessing and working it all out. And as I was raised up, it was kind of like being dragged along to Mass because we got to go to McDonald's afterwards and stuff. As a family, Mass was really important back then. My grandfather on Mum's side was still alive, and faith was very important. I think to him, he was very much a man who does the right thing, like he lives out his faith, and I think that really kind of helped develop my whole family on my mother's side, and it even affected my dad, who very much looked up to my grandfather through his own faith struggles. And so I was raised up going to Mass, going to my local parish as my school, my primary school backed onto that parish, and then I got to high school. And at the time, faith wasn't really that important. I was just a young kid. I was very shy, very quiet. I didn't really talk. I didn't know how to talk to people unless you were like my close friends. And I went to a youth group, which was, lots of fun. We mainly just played games for about an hour, and then maybe 5 minutes as prayer, which as a year 7, a year 8 and a year 9 male, that is the best when it comes to looking into your faith.
What made you drift from your faith, you think?
Well, it was more that, I don't know, like as a younger kid or as a boy, I didn't really necessarily see a need for my faith. Growing up, my dad wasn't really into it, and as the male role model of my family, it's, really hard, I think, to get into your faith. I think without the backing, like, I had my mum dragging me along to Mass, but, when your dad isn't really there, praying at the dinner table or maybe making jokes about it and stuff, like as, typical Aussie blokes do. I guess that kind of sends a message to you. And, like I remember when I was going for my confirmation, I picked the name Andrew because I wanted part of my dad's name in my name, even though I've got his last name. And, I didn't think that his first name, which was Alan, was a saint. So I picked his middle name, Andrew, as my confirmation name. And I wanted him to walk me down the aisle to be my sponsor for my confirmation. And my parents said that he couldn't do it because he sponsored me at birth. But I think as I got older, I realized that it was actually because he wasn't Catholic, and so he couldn't do it. And I think, I found that a little bit hard as a younger kid, not necessarily realizing that was why I may have struggled with faith, or not really seeing it as important. But as a younger boy, it was definitely mainly there for the fun and the social aspect.
Yes. And what brought you back to your faith? Because it sounds like you had faith when you were a child, and then you lost it for a while.
Yeah, high school, it's a lot of fun, but it's not, my school, I think, it's a very proud school full of tradition. I went to a great school called Oak Hill College in New South Wales, Castle Hill, and that's a great school. I went there because I wanted to go to school with my mates and play rugby, and I got to do both those things. Great De La Salle tradition. You can do lots of stuff helping out other people, you know, with the Salient foundations and everything. I never really got into it, and as you get up and you grow older into school, you know, things like drinking and stuff became a factor, and you'd be going to youth group, and my mates all started dropping out because they started experimenting with stuff like marijuana and alcohol only at that stage, but that was at like, you know, just older than 14, 15 years of age and stuff. And
I see.
Yeah, to them, like, their parents weren't practicing, or their parents did go to mass, but they didn't see the point. And in a group of all guys, like, being the only one going to like mass or going to youth group, it's kind of really hard to live out your faith.
Yes.
Because everyone else is like, oh, I don't believe in that stuff, like I'm an atheist, and these like year 9 kids like all making these life decisions just then, you know. And I wasn't someone that was going to say I'm an atheist, because I don't know, I think internally, like somewhere deep down, I believe, but I wasn't someone who was strong enough for my faith to vocally stand up for it either.
So you were still going to the church youth group, but you started to explore with your friends, things like marijuana and things like that?
That was around year 10, 11.
Yeah.
I think when I first kissed a girl, I think around the start of year 11, you know, because I was, as guys and girls call it these days, frigid, which means that, you know, you don't really do anything with girls or whatever because you're too scared, and I was. Girls made me really nervous. So, yeah, I never knew what to do there. And, you know, to kind of show how bad that was, I think my first kiss, I was at an 18th and I was 16, and the girl was just incredibly drunk and actually passed out of my arms as a 16-year-old guy. And, you know, like, that's a really weird way to, like, go into your final years of high school. And, you know, things kind of spiraled out from there, and it was really crazy because, you know, I started going to all these parties, and there was all this drinking that's in the culture of, you know, young Australians and males and stuff, and you know, trying to like hook up with girls or kiss girls and stuff, and my parents found out about that.
Wow.
But they didn't really know what that was, and you know, I was still going to youth group and stuff, and I didn't really, you know, I wasn't looking into my faith too much, so I didn't see the bad part of doing that.
I'm very interested in your story, but we need to go for a break now. I'll follow that up later.
Sure, no problem.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us and we'll be back in a few minutes. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Michael Oxford, and he's been sharing his faith story. Hello, welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, Geraldine.
Yeah, you shared about that time when before you came to your faith, you started exploring things, and you were at parties, and one of the things that really you remembered was a girl that you first kissed, or a girl in your arms?
Yeah, so there was my first kiss involved a girl who was 2 years older than me, and she passed out of my arms, and from there it really led into 2 years of kind of really becoming, because when I started out my faith journey, you know, I was always that shy, quiet kid, never speaking up, and then through getting into this party scene and things like even drama and stuff at school, I ended up becoming a bit of a chameleon and just switching between groups. And I made all these different friends on the party scene, and you know, my friends all thought I was this loud person, or this this kind of person who drank a lot, or this person who could hook up with girls and stuff. And my parents actually found out about that, and my mum didn't know what that meant, hooking up with girls. And so I got to this really awkward stage in year 11 where my mum, who had raised me Catholic and dragged me along to church and everything, bought me condoms, which I found was such a shock personally, because my mum had raised me up Catholic, and you know, it was the whole idea, you know, no sex before marriage and everything, and
yet she
and then she gave me those, and she was like, I just want you to be safe, and I was shocked that, you know, my mum thought that I would be doing that when she raised me Catholic. And I don't think I realised like how much, you know, stuff like that in my faith meant to me at the time in year 11. I forgot about it. I started, you know, I kept going to parties, but eventually they became really stale and pointless. I couldn't really drink because of experiences when I was a lot younger, 15, and I became very bored with it, the whole scene, and all these people thinking I was this person that I really wasn't.
How were you feeling with all that during that time?
It was really hard. I think I thought I was enjoying myself. I thought that, you know, if my friends were having a good time, then I was having a good time, and I was working like Macca's and playing sport and going to all these different events and stuff, and I thought I was, you know, having a ball, and I don't really think I was. I mean, I know now that I wasn't having the best of times. And towards the end of my year 12, I went on schoolies and stuff, as you do, and I had a whole bunch of lots of fun experiences, but I was kind of pulling back. I was realizing that all the party scenes and everything, like it wasn't for me. Like I needed something more, and it wasn't there.
You weren't feeling fulfilled.
No, I wasn't fulfilled by any of that stuff. So I ended up going on schoolies, and through a random series of events, I picked up smoking just from going out to clubs and stuff, and it's very addictive stuff. I ended up dropping it and going away on a family holiday, and then when I came back, all my friends had gone off to uni, and I was working my trade, so I was working 5 days a week, lots of hours, you know, on weekends sometimes, and all my friends were at uni, so they would be going out on weeknights and inviting me out, and I couldn't. I was getting up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And so my friends, I didn't really see them that much, and you know, I was just working all week and doing nothing on weekends.
Right, so it gave you space to start thinking again?
No, not even that. It was more it was a really dark kind of place where I'd forgotten my faith and life. It was really just kind of secular life where it was just work, and you know, if you go out, you have friends, but that's it. And it was really empty. And I was I picked smoking back up because I was just like, is this really it? And through a series of random events, I started youth leading again, or started youth leading back at the parish I went through when I grew up. But I didn't really know where I was going at the time. I went because there was a girl there that I used to like back in the day, and she was still there, and you know, the feelings were there still. So I went to see her, but because she was ministering to teens, well, I got involved and I ministered to teens, and I ended up going on a vocations weekend down in Canberra with a group called the MGLs, the Ministries of God's Love, Brothers and Priests. And yeah, that's, I think, when my faith journey kind of really kicked off.
Wow, it's true searching, and by sort of coincidence, you ended up at these places. Brought you back to your faith kind of places. Yeah,
it was really odd to get there, because the weekend before I'd literally, you know, been nice to a mate, and I'd gone to his cousin's 18th, and we spent the night kind of just drinking around a fire, watching like his cousin turn 18, and we ended up talking about, you know, faith, about the Holy Spirit and gifts of the Holy Spirit, and his friend who was thinking of becoming a brother, which I thought was crazy, because, you know, we were both like 18, 19 years old, and here we were, one of our friends who was our age was going to, you know, devote his whole life to the Lord, and I thought that was crazy. I've never heard anything like this. I had to see it. So
that's why you sort of went, just out of curiosity initially.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, really. And I had a good time, and the question got brought up to me that I think I always struggled with faith since I first heard it, like all the way back in 2009. which was you need to give 100% of yourself to God, so all of yourself to God. And since '09 to really even this year, like I've always struggled with that. Because when I was there, you know, you need to let yourself go. You need to give God the 100%, like take the step off the cliff. And I was like, I can't do that. That's a lot. Like I always knew giving 100% of yourself to God was a big deal. Like even if I didn't understand what that meant, I understood it was a lot to do. I was like, I would rather give like 70% of myself to God or do things for God because I was choosing to do it, not because I'd said, God, I give you everything, so send me to do this. And it was like I was forced to do the stuff. It was more a choice.
Sounds like it's something that you admire, having no compromise.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear more about it after the break. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Join us after the break. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Michael Oxford. He's been sharing about his faith story. Welcome back, Michael. And it's very inspiring hearing how you were, something really drew you to the fact that these young people were giving up their lives for the gospel, like this guy who was becoming a priest. And that brought you to that camp. And what happened to you after you started to go to the camp? What did you experience there that made you stay?
So I went to a vocations weekend in Canberra, like I said earlier, with a group called the MGLs, or the Ministries of God's Love, priests and brothers, who recently became a full-on order in Australia, which was a great thing to witness at the beginning of this year. But yes, I was there and I witnessed all these men really who were strong in their faith, who believed, you know, what they were taught about God, that, you know, were really strong. They were pretty cool dudes. Like there was guys just from every kind of different place. Like there were people from overseas, like Indonesia. I met a guy from Ireland. I met a whole bunch of guys from Sydney and from Canberra that were all around my age and older, that were all practicing their own faith. And for someone who'd always, you know, had to make their own way and follow their own path and never really had kind of older role models to look up to, whether in faith or not, other than my dad, like it was a big deal. And I came back from that vocations weekend and I ended up doing a whole lot of firsts with my faith. I prayed my first rosary at like 18 years of age. I went to daily mass. I didn't even know there was a daily mass. I went to daily mass like every day with a bunch of, like a different friend, like all the time. Like, and I was still like going to rugby. I was still, you know, working. But I managed to stop smoking for a period of like 3 weeks, which was a big deal because I was smoking about a packet a day.
Wow.
Oh, half a pack a day, really. And it was, yeah, it was such a shock it was just gone, like the need. I didn't feel that I needed it, which was a big deal. And yeah, I was going to mass and I was still youth leading at this group now. But I still didn't know why I was youth ministering. Like I was just there to still see this girl, and I would go and I was learning all this stuff about my faith, and then I was teaching it to kids, and I was like, I don't know why I'm here. Like,
yes.
Like there are so many more holier people than me out there that could be doing this. Like, why me? You know, I was definitely that person that stood at the back of mass against the wall because I didn't feel like I deserved sitting in those chairs.
Yes. Did you, besides experiencing great role models, did you experience God as such in true? Was it more through them, or did you have some personal encounters?
It was over the year. Had different personal encounters with the Lord, and even Mary. We did a night on Mary for our youth group and teaching the kids like rosary and stuff. And we asked them why they came to the youth group after praying this? And they all said their reasons, and then they asked me, and I'd never know. This was like 5 months down the track. I still didn't know it was coming, other than see a girl from like the group I was ministering with, and they asked me, and like I'd never been able to think of the reason, and I stood there, and it just came to me like in my head, and I really kind of put that down to Mary, kind of putting it on my heart and letting me know. But I said to these kids, I come because when I was your age and younger, I used to come here, and the people that were here, like if I'd had a bad day, if I'd had a fight with my friends or my family, or I wasn't feeling good, I'd always end up at Mass somehow. I don't know. I did. Mm-hmm. I ended up there. And even if I didn't go to Mass and I went down the road to McDonald's and came back afterwards for youth group, the people here were always happy to see me. They just wanted to make sure that I was okay, that I was having a good time. And they taught me stuff about my faith, and at the end of the day, I wanted to be that person for everyone else that was coming through the youth group, and that was a big deal to know that.
Yeah, so you experience peace. When you describe Mass, what happens at a Mass?
I found Mass very boring
initially, is it?
It's been very helpful having like meeting young priests and stuff. You know, growing up, like I know my parish priest John Boyle. He's very good to listen to, and Father Eugene and stuff. But to meet kind of younger priests and stuff who kind of talk on your level, or even going to bishops, or going to stuff like World Youth Day, and having the Mass kind of really come alive for you is just, it's so lucky to have that. I know a lot of people are definitely like I used to be, and it's like Mass is just boring as, but like it's not. And it's really good.
So they taught you, did they teach you things like prayer, how to communicate with God and things like that?
They did teach me about prayer and stuff like having a guardian angel and stuff like that. I had no idea as a guy. It was just like, what? And prayer, like, you know, I've learned all different kinds of prayer being on ministry, and even back then, you know, your rosary, just taking time out of your day to pray, praying before meals, and Mass being one of the key parts of prayer. Adoration even. They're all pretty good stuff.
And it was amazing because you almost started mission before conversion. Most people have conversion then mission, but I know that soon after you got involved, you decided to go into full-time mission.
Yes, so through a lot of stuff that's gone on in the last 2 years, from me making choices to give up smoking 2 years ago, and trying to become a man and a role model that kids and other people could look up to, and be around at 70 and 80 years of age to look after a family and stuff. And learning all this stuff through youth ministry, I discovered that I felt really passionate about going into schools and teaching kids the stuff that I believe, and hopefully getting across to them the message that it took me forever to learn, so that they can get there at a younger age.
Yeah, it's wonderful, your story and your conversion, and we would really like you to come back next week to share about your ministry and your work in the youth mission team and that whole journey. Yeah, so I wish you all the best, and God bless you, and see you next week.
Thank you very much, Geraldine.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Join us again next week. Goodbye, and God bless you.
Bring it to birth and blow where you will. Blow, blow, blow till I be but breath of the Spirit blowing in me.
Spirit of Life was proudly sponsored by Mattress Oz, mattressesaras.com.au.